The Sunrise Edition?
The Sunrise Edition?
Yeah.
The Over Easy Edition?
No, the Sunrise
Edition?
is what you call it.
Right.
Just say another Sunrise Edition.
Another Sunrise Edition?
Yeah, I can do it if you want.
You want to intro the show?
Should I try?
Go for it, we're recording.
Can I just do Welcome to Radiovania, another Sunrise Edition, and then you take over? Because I don't remember the script.
Don't remember anything?
Yeah, after that. I mean, I think I could wing it, but I don't want to.
Alright, you do whatever.
No, you know what? You just do the whole thing.
I'll just take care of it? All right.
Yeah, just...
What's going on, Radiovania? Already screwed it up. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Radiovania, episode number 37, your nerdy public radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. This is your Sunrise Edition, Volume 2. It's 8:45 on March the 3rd, 2017, and we are recording this a few hours after coming back from the midnight premiere and sleep of watching Logan.
Wow, has it really only been a few? Yeah, it's only been like 6 hours.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy?
We went to bed 5 hours ago.
Yeah, we went to bed and John shook me awake to get me into this room so we could record, and we're very happy about it. Everyone's really happy right now, aren't we, John?
Yeah, yes.
My name is Zach Cotello, at Zach Cotello on Twitter, and
Yes.
sitting across from me is John Swansong Parker.
Good morning, Radiovania.
How you feeling today? You got your coffee? You feeling better?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, feeling pretty good.
We got a lot to talk about today.
Yep.
So we're going to kick things off with talking about Logan, but stick around. We got a good show. We're going to talk about the Oscars and the infamous flub. We're going to talk about Matt Damon losing money, Pirates of the Caribbean, YouTube TV, and what's Microsoft doing with that Games Pass. All this and more on Radiovania, episode number 37. If you like the show, thank you very much for listening. We're doing very well on Spreaker right now. Go to radiovania.com. Click the red subscribe button. Like a video, thumbs up, leave a comment saying your boy John looks sexy in this video or something like that.
Or he looks like a clown.
No, you never look like a clown.
Okay.
Email the show, radiovaniashow@gmail.com, with your questions, comments, and concerns. We'll answer literally anything that you write to us on the air.
Well,
anything.
within reason.
Yeah, well, as long as it won't get us like in PewDiePie levels of trouble, we'll answer it. That's pretty much as far as we'll go.
Yeah. Hypothetical questions are always a go. So yeah, feel free to do any of that type of creative stuff.
Topic suggestions for the Dat Cave, yada yada yada, all that jazz. John, what have you been up to this week?
Work.
Yeah.
Work.
Watch anything new? Play anything new? Listen to anything new? Do anything new?
I have been concluding my 5th watch through of The Office, which is this is actually interesting. I usually don't make it through the last 2 seasons because I'd lose interest because they lose Michael Scott, and then it's not as enjoyable for me anymore.
Yeah, those last seasons aren't very good.
Right now I'm in the middle of 9, though. I'm trying to watch the whole thing through again because I've only seen the last one once for my first watch through. Because usually what happens is I'll watch The Office, and sometimes I'll just throw it on in the background even when I'm not really watching it.
Yeah.
But once Michael leaves, usually I kind of like fizzle after Will Ferrell leaves and stuff like that too, and Andy takes over as manager and all that stuff like that. So
we all have that show.
I've been watching that. I've been reading. I read a couple of comic trades, like graphic novels that this past couple weeks. So amongst all my overabundance of schoolwork and work, I've been trying to read a little bit in between to kind of give myself breaks and stuff like that. So right now I'm reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, which is really good.
I saw that on your table. That's a cool cover.
Yeah, it's awesome. You should check out the art. It's beautiful. And I finished...
Alan Moore did Hush, right?
No. He did Watchmen. Yeah. Okay. And Killing Joke.
Okay.
I read John Byrne's Man of Steel, which I can see that a lot of the Man of Steel movie is based off of, which was pretty good. I reread Flashpoint because I'm trying to get versed again in all that Rebirth stuff, and there's a little teases even in Flashpoint of the Watchmen that I can't believe nobody saw coming, but I love me some Flashpoint. Do you know the premise behind that at all?
I only know bits and pieces of what you've talked about because of the Flash show, because they deal with Flashpoint in the TV show, right?
Yeah, but
it's basically just
different. It's way different.
Meeting each other?
Yeah.
Okay,
so Flashpoint in the comic...
Spoilers, right? This
is all spoilers, but like this is like 7 years old. Barry Allen runs back in time to save his mom on the Speed Force treadmill. And then when he gets back in time, he accidentally created this rift that created this new. Yeah, he created this new, like, almost parallel world, and he wakes up, and he's not the Flash anymore, and he doesn't have any superpowers, and everybody's kind of different. So, like, Superman's rocket, instead of crashing in Kansas, crashed in the middle of downtown Metropolis and killed 45,000 people. So the government took him and locked him in a basement with the red light. So he's never grown to be big and strong, so he's really skinny, and he's like a child because he's been growing underground, and you know how he needs the yellow sun to get big and stuff like that. And then in Gotham, instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne getting killed, Bruce Wayne gets killed from the mugger instead. And this causes a rift between Thomas and Martha, and Thomas becomes Batman and Martha becomes the Joker. Isn't that fucking awesome?
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why in the world did Batman v Superman have its plot when they could have done that?
I don't know.
That's a way cooler story.
I have it. I want you to read it. When I was rereading it, I was like, Zach really needs to read this because he'd like it a lot.
Okay. I love alternate universe stuff.
It's alternate universe stuff. I mean, like, Hal Jordan's not the Green Lantern anymore because the original Green Lantern that died and gave him the ring never dies. So he's alive, and Cyborg is like, he plays a big role. And then, this is the coolest part. The Atlanteans and the Amazonians are at war with each other, and they've desolated, like, the entire world. And Wonder Woman and Aquaman are, like, savage and stuff like that, and they're fighting, and it's really cool. Check it out.
That's pretty cool. It would have made sense for Snyder to draw. So I figured he'd do something weird like that, like Flash. I mean, it makes sense, and you could have almost seen it go in that direction when Flash shows up in Bruce's dream. But
maybe they are still planning to do that. Who knows?
Maybe.
But that's something that if you think about, if you take these cool stories that DC has and apply it to the Marvel framework, like Marvel was working their way all the way up to finally be able to doing Civil War, one of the coolest storylines. Yeah. DC's light years away from being able to just throw out Flashpoint and people being okay with it.
No one would care.
Because, like, if you made a Flashpoint movie and Jeffrey Dean Morgan was playing Batman because he played Thomas Wayne in BVS, I'd be like, I don't really like. I like the comic, but I could see how people would be confused. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that's a cool idea. I don't know.
It is a cool idea, and we'll see. With all the drama going on in the DCEU, maybe they just need to take some weird risks and go a little bit more out of the norm just to... Yeah. But we'll see.
But otherwise, that's about it. Just been reading, working, watching a little TV here and there. My Plus subscription ended, so I haven't been playing The Last of Us anymore. And I'm really struggling to motivate myself to get back in at this point, so...
After the great massacre of Jon's Last of Us
clan. The slaughter of my clan.
You got to keep going. You got to get the platinum.
I know, but
that should be that was your New Year's resolution. We talked about it on the show.
I know. What have you been doing?
Horizon, man. Horizon came out this Tuesday. Got my Amazon order, which is a little bit of a trade-off because I get it $10 off with Amazon Prime when you pre-order a game or new releases, but there's the trade-off where your thing will be delivered on launch day by 8 p.m. So I kind of never really know when it's going to show up at my house. And so there were like 4 hours that I was just like looking at. It was like Adele from the Hello music video where I'm looking at the window waiting for the USPS driver to show up. I'm like, hello. But I got it, installed it. There's like a 200 megabyte patch, which was like nothing, especially for video games now. And I'm loving it, man. 15 hours in,
it's loving it.
It does everything that I really like about open worlds very well, and it does a lot of things I like about story-driven games extremely well, which is something I didn't expect to find in Horizon, where the developer Guerrilla isn't known for the Killzone games. That's basically all they did for PS3. They made Killzone 1, 2, 3, and then Shadowfall was a launch game for the PS4. And these guys are great developers, but they really only did shooters. They did like gritty war-based shooters. And so getting into Horizon, I was like, it's an open world RPG. It's got, like this post-apocalyptic setting and this weird like environmental storytelling and all this jazz. And it's like, I'm not expecting it to be anything like Naughty Dog level of polish. And it's up there. I mean, I definitely don't relate to Aloy as a character the same way I do to Nathan Drake, but we also had 4, if you count Golden Abyss, 4 Uncharted games before we got Uncharted 4, and Nathan Drake is just more of a staple name in the PlayStation family, but Aloy is an awesome character. She has great motivation. She has great, like, her facial animations, and like Ashley Birch does the voice, and it's like up there with Elena Fisher and Chloe and like all these female characters that are just awesome in Naughty Dog games. And she's got this attitude, but she's really passionate, and she's quirky and funny, but and like yet compelling and like empathetic. But the game is just so. It's one of those games where it's always on my mind. Like, I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. Like, I'm at school, I'm like, man, I can't wait to go home, and I want to get on this. I was hunting this one thing. Gotta hunt this one machine so I can make this thing because I want to craft my wallet because I need a bigger storage space, and then I'm going to go out and do this one side quest because I know that I'm going to get all these resources from it that I can trade in to get a better bow or a better suit, and it's like, it's definitely my game of the year so far.
Sounds awesome.
I'm excited for. A lot of my friends have been telling me that Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be good. I've never played any of the Mass Effect games all the way through, so we'll see if I get into Andromeda. Later this year is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2, and I think it's going to be. And Zelda right now. Zelda just came out and it's getting 10s. Actually, today's Switch launch day. You know, we should have those like little pop streamers. It's like.
I forgot that was today.
Yep, today's the Switch day.
Don't care.
Nope, but Zelda, 10s across the board. I think right now on Metacritic it's sitting at a 96, 95, 96. That's certainly going to win Game of the Year in many outlets, but Horizon is just eating up my time right now. I think it's incredible. And I'm going to let you borrow it first as soon as I'm finished with it because you need to play it.
All right. Sounds good.
Shall we talk about the big story of the week, John?
The Switch?
No, Logan. We saw Logan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did. We went and saw Logan.
Why don't you hit it off since I've been talking a bit about Horizon. I need a second to collect my thoughts.
You're stalling.
I am stalling, but I'm going to look up the Rotten Tomatoes for Logan, and I'm also going to see if there's any financial information I can gather about it.
Sure.
What did you think of Logan?
So we saw it last night at midnight, like Zach was saying, because I had a late night at work. We went and saw it at Gateway. You, me, Connor, Kyle, and Michael. And I love this movie. I think it was really good. It's not necessarily to say a perfect movie like we were talking about last night.
Sure.
But there are a lot of things that they did so well. They handled the intimacy of the characters by making it not a big, like, large-scale X-Men movie, like, say, an X-Men Apocalypse, for example. Hugh Jackman crushes it in his final outing as Wolverine, like he has said, as well as Patrick Stewart crushing it as Xavier in his final outing, like he has said. Another big positive that I really liked was the girl who plays Laura. I thought she was amazing.
That is Daphne Keane as Laura.
I thought she was great. She doesn't really have a whole lot to work with as terms of dialogue for a good portion of the movie.
Yeah.
But just acting, with body language and facial expressions and stuff like that is amazing.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that we agree on that we talked about was, and we can go into more depth, was probably the...
Make sure, before you say anything, I'm sorry to cut you off. This is a spoiler-free part of the discussion.
Yeah.
We're gonna immediately switch to spoilers. We'll tell you when to fast forward 5-10 minutes or whatever, but right now, spoiler-free impressions.
Yeah, weak villains.
Okay.
Is what I was going to say.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something else. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
My thoughts on the movie, spoiler-free, are as such. I think it is a really powerful statement of a movie, especially considering all the X-Men movies together. Because it exists in that same universe.
The Foxverse.
We don't exactly know where in the timeline it takes place, but...
And they don't care.
No, and the movie doesn't care, and the movie doesn't really do a good job... Not that it needs to, but it doesn't do a super good job of expressing to us what is going on. It just kind of expects you to pick the pieces up and kind of infer as to what's going on. Like, Logan at the beginning of the movie is kind of doing some shady stuff, and you're not exactly sure what's going on, and they don't really even bother to explain what he's doing, where they're doing it, and why. You kind of get little hints here and there, but this is really the antithesis of a Marvel exposition, climax, it's over. kind of movie. And
it's been a while.
I like the Marvel formula, right? But like Logan is really, it's like it's a period. It's a huge period on. It's a full stop on the Wolverine franchise, and at least as what we know. Not to say they don't leave some things open. Not to say they don't, tie off a bunch of clothes. I mean, there's like a lot of questions. I think the movie is beautifully directed.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
There's a lot of great shots.
They shot in majority New Mexico with a little bit in Louisiana. Correct?
So really deserty kind of vibe. The trailer. If you've seen the trailers, you kind of
it's got a little Mad Max vibe, a little Last of Us vibe, a little little spice here and there. Got a little X-Men in there.
Yeah. I think for a majority of the performances were really good. There were a few, I don't want to spoil anything, but there were a few younger characters that I didn't care much for. The villains, again, not given very much to work with. Not
though,
terrible, just...
but if you think about it, like, think about the past X-Men villains we've had. We've had Magneto, Stryker, Apocalypse, and Kevin Bacon. So
who was the girl in? I liked the villain in the Wolverine.
Oh yeah, the Silver Samurai.
Yeah,
he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was cool. That. I mean, it was kind of like a side villain because there was that.
I kept thinking about how good that movie was, and it's interesting to see how James Mangold directed that movie and then takes a complete 180 and directs this movie too. It's like they're two very different tonal style movies, but they're both really good.
You can see the similarities in the directing, though. Especially
the violence and stuff.
Yeah, the violence. And the one thing I did want to bring up is that I felt like the action was there. It was brutal, which is awesome, but it does one of my movie sins where shaky cam during action scenes is really prevalent, and I don't have a problem with that. Like, I hate it when people are just like, "Oh, shaky cam ruins the whole movie. Oh, the whole thing is shaky." Like Hunger Games.
Yeah. Well, that movie sucks.
That movie does suck, cinematography wise.
Peter, where's Peter? Peter,
throw flour at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wolverine. Logan does a lot of shaky cam during its most crucial action scenes. One aside where the shaky cam is actually like a part of the effect.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah. But there were so many moments where I was like, I just want to see Logan do Logan stuff and like Wolverine, and like it's like cutting between things, and you only get and it kind of heightens the brutality, which I understand, but it also kind of it makes me a little bit more cognizant that I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And other times it pulled it off really well, but
yeah, I mean, it's not directed like the John Wick action where it's the still cam and it's... Oh, I'm sorry.
We shake the mic?
Shake cam, shake mic. Yeah, I would agree with you. It didn't really bother me as much, though. I tell you what did make me uncomfortable at times, though, was the brutality of some of the violence. Like, some of it's pretty cringeworthy.
And we had a woman that brought...
3 kids. All under the age of 12.
Easily. Oh, definitely under the age of like 10, I'd say. 10, 9, 8. I mean, one of these kids was like playing with a Tonka truck. And the whole time I'm like watching...
He's like,
I'm
beep,
watching...
Beep, beep. And Logan's like, oh!
I mean, I watched Logan shove his claws through a man's chin up to the top of his skull, and this kid's down at the bottom, and I'm just like...
Wow.
What is happening?
That's what's wrong with this world, man. You got easy early exposure to extreme violence.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. My hope is that, because I don't have a problem with kids being shown... I think we baby children way too much, and this is like a whole nother topic. We could do a whole After Dark about this, but like, I feel like we baby children too much, especially when it comes to fiction. Like, fiction is always we should teach people, especially when they're young, that fiction is fiction, and it's like, nothing should be out of the realm of, nothing should be out of bounds in fiction. So, while I do think that it was a little in poor taste to bring 3 kids to a midnight showing of a premiere of a hard R violent movie, my hope is that someone explained to them what's going on, and that they know, they kind of learn from this, but again, we can never really know that. It's just my hope that kids are being exposed to this stuff and learning about it as a fiction and about as art, and that, not everything is real. Don't repeat what you're seeing. Obviously, don't shove Wolverine claws through your brother's head.
Yeah, please don't.
But, all right, we're going to move to spoilers. If you haven't seen Logan, turn this off. Fast forward. I'm going to start a timer. How long do you think? How long do you want? How much do you have to say?
I don't know. Maybe 5 minutes, just to be safe.
I'm going to do 6 minutes.
6, fine. That's cool.
I'm starting a timer at 6 minutes right now, so jump ahead 6 minutes right now. All right, so spoilers for Logan. How did you feel about... what do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about the plot, like the story.
Okay, so it's loosely...
The Last of Us?
Yeah, loosely The Last of Us. So the girl, which we find out from the trailer, if you've seen the trailers, has... So what was going on with the kids is that, they were being experimented on? Right. That's the whole thing?
Yeah, their mutations were being utilized into creating weapons like every other X-Men storyline ever.
But they had mutations before being experimented on.
That's how I took it, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking during
the
movie...
Or did you think they made them mutants?
I thought they were making them mutants.
Well, you're right, because they talk about they mixed DNA of mutants with Mexican women who give birth. Yeah, that's haunting.
Yeah, that's actually a really, like in a universe where superhuman abilities exist. That's actually like a real.
It's almost like Alien with the chest burst and stuff like that. It's like they impregnate these Mexican women who give birth to these mutant. I can't think of the word.
Mutant children, mutant spawns.
I was gonna go with never mind. Whatever.
But yeah, so
catastrophes.
I thought, as soon as that starts happening, I started that started getting me emotionally invested in the younger girl. Because up until then, Laura. Because up until then, I was just thinking
we have to go get Laura.
And then the other thing I was kind of dancing around with when we were talking about the what's going on in this movie is that I have no idea still what Logan and Professor Xavier are doing out in the middle of nowhere. They're just hiding. They're hiding because people are hunting down mutants? Is that the reason why they're doing this?
I think they're hiding out there because it's isolated and Professor X's mind is too dangerous.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And you know how he can't connect to everybody on the planet without Cerebro, but he can still connect to a lot of people that are close to him. So if you put him out in the desert, it's fine.
Yeah, we're going to need more time.
Yep.
Okay, so you brought up the interesting point when we were walking
home. At the end of the 5 minutes, just say, keep going!
When we were walking home, you were saying about your theory as to where this place is in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Can you share us what that is?
This is in the Days of Future Past retcon timeline.
Okay.
So, at the end of Days of Future Past, Logan wakes up in the Xavier mansion. Jean's still alive, Scott's still alive, Storm's still alive, Xavier's still alive, la-di-da-di-da. It's all happy-go-lucky. Bryan Singer's like, great, I brought it back. And everyone's like, way to go, man. And then he puts it back down the pooper. Anyway, I think this is post that. Obviously, multiple years after that.
Yeah.
And then we learned that it's interesting. You take something so human, such as Alzheimer's and things like that, and you apply it to the most powerful mind, which is Charles Xavier, and you take problems that, human elderly people face, and you apply it to this, and it's really sad to watch because he's slowly losing his mind.
And talk about a performance, man. Charles Xavier is
so good.
Watching Patrick Stewart be that old and decrepit is just kind of sad to watch.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. But he crushed it. But we were talking about, it's kind of inferred in the movie by calling it the Westchester incident almost. They never say incident, but they keep relating to what happens in Westchester, which is where the mansion is. It's kind of inferred that Xavier accidentally killed everybody in the school with his mind because he had a Caesar.
I think that's interesting. I'm surprised that they didn't. I mean, I guess it works as an illusion, but it would have been interesting to have him talk about that more. You would think that would be something that would really prey on him because he only brings it up
he
once,
was,
right?
and then when he brought it up, he died. Remember?
Yeah, but
he was about to talk to Logan about it, and then it turned out to be X-24, and ching, right in the chest when he wakes up.
So you don't think that he's talked about it to him prior?
Oh, I think they have.
You think
but not on screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not in our movie.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that we didn't get that moment.
My theory is that Logan was gone because he leaves every now and then, and then he hears about what happens, and he comes back, and
shaking the thing a little bit.
He takes Xavier under his wing for personal care because he's the only one left.
Okay.
from the original X-Men family.
Interesting.
Also, what happened to Eric? We don't know, and they don't care. They don't feel like talking about Magneto at all.
Yeah, I mean,
which is interesting. So
it's really interesting. We talked about how this is like, you know, a full stop, a period to the X-Men franchise. It's going to be interesting to talk about where they go from here, which we'll obviously discuss coming in a little bit. But man, where do they go from here?
We have another big thing to talk about that's hard to predict where they go, and that's that he's dead.
Yeah. So
Wolverine. How close are we to 5 minutes?
We're 37 seconds away from telling everybody that they need to skip forward another 5 minutes.
Okay. It happens at the end of the film. It's really sad.
But yeah, so when we're gonna take like a 1 second break to tell people to move along, but then we'll talk about the rest of the spoilers. Batman. It's fascinating radio. All right. Attention, everyone. If you skip forward 6 minutes...
Maybe you're willing to go just a little farther.
Skip forward another 5 minutes because we ran out of time.
Because it's just that good.
It's just that good. All right. 5 minutes starting right now.
Bye.
All right, so... let's talk about Xavier.
You want to talk about Xavier first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's the first one to go.
Yeah. You want to talk about that hotel scene first? Because that was awesome.
Yeah. Right before that everything goes down with that, there was my favorite scene in the movie is the scene in the hotel where he is having a seizure, I guess is what you could call them, or like an attack. I guess,
they're attacking him and Laura in the room, and so he uses his mind, but by opening his mind that way, it causes him to have a seizure and affect everybody else in the hotel, which I thought was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great, and that whole scene is just like really jarring and uncomfortable, and the noise is like really like driving, and you're watching like Logan slink through all these people and like pull people aside, and like everyone's eyes are kind of cognizant of like watching like what's going on. Everybody kind of knows exactly what's happening, which says to me that it's like it's Xavier, right? But it's not Xavier in his heyday. Like he's like kind of stumbling a little bit. Like it's just he's almost slipping. There. Yeah,
it's sad. Yeah.
And then Logan gets up to the room or whatever, and he's just like eviscerating these dudes like in slow motion. And
he's going headshots.
It was ridiculous, man. And then he gets to Xavier, and everything like drops, and it's like that was like one of those. That was a wow moment for me. Like that was one of the coolest things I've seen in comic book movies in a long time.
Yeah, it was really good. And then they wind up at that farm with the African-American family who takes them in and stuff like that after they've been on the road for a little while.
Yeah.
And then Xavier goes to sleep, and then, like every other X-Men type stuff, they get ambushed by people looking for him. And he gets killed by a person who seems to be Logan, which turns out to be X-24. And what I thought was really good about that scene that I didn't catch earlier was when the real Logan goes in and like picks him up and stuff like that. He keeps like reminding him, he's like, it wasn't me, because he
kind of knew what was going on.
Yeah, because he thinks that Charles, after all this time, would have wanted, or he thinks that Charles thought that he was going to eventually off him because he's too much of a problem to handle, which is how a lot of older people are. You know, like they're like, after your kids are taking care of you for a long time, you think that they start to resent you for certain things because you can't control it. And it's interesting how much they play into the dynamic of family with like a 3-generation type thing with Charles, Logan, and Laura.
Yeah.
Even though Charles isn't his dad.
So we're running short on time. We got to talk about Xavier and his passing. Like what did you think about the scene, the burial scene?
That was my favorite scene.
You think so?
The burial scene, yeah. That was the best acting I've seen Hugh Jackman do in like anything, honestly.
It was really...
I can't imagine how hard it was to shoot that scene.
Yeah, it was really... I didn't really quite catch exactly what he was kind of mumbling to himself.
Something about the water, because they kept talking about going to the ocean. So he was saying, like, it's near the water, you know? Like, he was like, I tried to get you there, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
And you failed.
It's also kind of
sad.
It's interesting looking at what happened with him and considering the time period and what's going on in the world. You can infer that it's they're under the gun, they're on the run or whatever, but it's like they just had to do like this random burial nowhere. Like they couldn't afford to linger, and like they had to go. Like and it was just like time is of the essence, and it kind of makes you realize like in those kind of situations, like his priorities were in the right place. It's like it's a very Last of Us kind of vibe. Yeah. At least that was the Last of Us to me right there. It was like that kind of storytelling right there. It was like, this is heartbreaking, but we have to move on.
Yep.
And lo and behold, they move on. Yeah. And so,
and he beats the shit out of that truck with the shovel. Yeah, that was awesome.
Before we end up talk about the ending, what did you think
about the ending?
Yeah.
About like how the climax turned out, or about like the ending?
I mean, let's go for, just like the climax. We're running short on time. We're just gonna tell.
I think the third act was actually probably the part that I didn't like.
You think so?
Yeah, I love the movie, but I think that was the weakest part for me.
I mean, I agree.
And I think it might have been the fact that Charles wasn't there. And it's not that Logan and Laura can't carry weight or anything like that, but it's like they get to eat in and there's all those kids and it kind of loses a little bit of pacing for a little bit. And
the kids are the part that I don't like. I understand why they're there, but their acting was a little bit too cheesy for me. Laura works with Laura works with Wolverine, with Logan, because she's very grounded, down to earth, and like, all right, people, keep skipping. We're sorry to do this to you, but we're still in the middle of this thing.
Yeah,
maybe like 3 more minutes.
I wouldn't put a time on it.
Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. That was a bad idea.
Yeah,
we learned from our mistakes. We stumble. Why do we fall?
Why do we fall?
So keep skipping. It's still spoiler town. The reason, like I was saying, the reason why Lara works with Logan is that she's quiet, she keeps herself, she's very gritty and dark, and the rest of those kids are kind of like quick to joke around. They've got their like little town. They're all kind of like happy-go-lucky. They're pulling pranks on him. They cut his beard or whatever, which is cool. But
give him the chops.
Yeah, they give him the chops, which is cool. But it kind of like it took away from the seriousness of the tone of the movie, and then it got into the final fight, which I liked most of it. But it does kind of slip in moments to cartoony X2 Town, and I was really such a fan of how they handled action in this movie. Shaky cam aside, like the brutality of everything was just like really jarring. And there is the brutal scene where they kill whatever his name is with the guy with the sunglasses and the robo arm, where they basically just use all the elements of nature to snuff this guy's life out of his chest.
Yeah, what I thought was actually really well done scene too was the scene where whoever is the leader of this organization, the doctor who's working on everybody, he's like talking to Logan about how like he's like, I've known you since the Weapon X program, like, and he's like, I killed your dad. He's like, yeah, you definitely did that. And they're just like in the middle of the conversation, and then all of a sudden Wolverine just loses his patience and just clocks him in the head with a gun, which I thought was really interesting that he resorted to that, because he talks about how much he didn't like guns earlier and stuff like that. And then that just like kicks off the action, and then all the kids combine forces to kind of take out all the soldiers, and then we get another rematch with X-24, and then that's what spoilers again. That's what
we're still in spoilers. Yeah.
That's what kills Wolverine, is a clone of himself and not being able to heal because he OD'd on that drugs to be able to give him a physical burst for the beginning of the fight, but it didn't last long enough because he's too old.
Yeah,
which I thought was a great, like, heroic warrior death for him. You know what I mean? Like, he had one last hurrah to save Laura, and then he just couldn't. His body just couldn't keep up anymore. But he didn't have anybody left. Think about it. It was just her. And
that one scene where he's laying in the doctor's office where his shirt's off or whatever, and he's just like, it's like his body is just ripped open. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the death of Wolverine?
It's sad. It's the passing of an era. You know, we were talking about it. Like, he's been doing this for 17 years. He's been in 9 X-Men films, or is this 9? I think it was 9 up until this point, so this might be 10.
1, 2, 3,
4, 1, 2, 3,
5,
First
6.
Class.
He's been in all 6 of the main ones,
and then 3 Wolverine movies. So it's 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is his 9th.
And he might have had cameos somewhere else. Am I thinking? No.
They talk about him in Deadpool, but he's not.
Okay,
he's
yeah,
not in Deadpool.
What a shame that he wasn't able to do that.
The
That would have been kind of cool.
And then again, like, hats off to Jackman, because he does really good acting in this movie, which he usually doesn't have to do in X-Men movies because he's cutting people to bits or he's making out with Jean or something. But
he's just sarcastic.
Yeah, his death scene where he's like impaled by that stump, and then like Laura has to come and cut the stump off so that he's not like getting. Oh man! And then he's like talking to her and stuff is just really beautiful. Well done.
Yeah.
And he's talking about like, don't be the weapon that they made you to be. So he's just kind of like passing on the legacy of like, I've done.
He's
a
trying
lot
to condense everything that Xavier told him in like one sentence. He's like, hey.
He's like, I've done all these terrible things in multiple continuity lines over the course of this film franchise. Take a different step. And it's almost like you can infer from that, like, going forward, they did this last thing, and violence carries a huge weight in this movie, including Laura's monologue at his funeral that they have, where she's talking about, like, there is no death without a killing or something like. I can't remember what she says, but it kind of just sums up the whole reason why they went graphic and brutal with this movie, to send it off and to kind of reflect on it.
Yeah. And then the last shot of the movie is the grave in the woods, and the cross is turned sideways to an X.
That's awesome.
I got chills, man, when I saw that like, last scene.
That would have been cool. But yeah.
So, overall, if you've skipped this far along, welcome back to the regular show. No more spoilers. The movie is sitting at a... I just had this up. I should have been more prepared. The movie is currently sitting at a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 95. It is premiere day, so usually these things tend to be higher, and then they'll start dropping as more and more people see it.
More critics see it. Yeah.
Would you agree with 95%?
I would agree with 95 for a movie, and then if we're basing it on a comic book movie, I'd give it 100. But like as far as like standard films go, yeah, 95 sounds good to me.
I think
this is the best comic book movie I've seen since The Dark Knight. I'm being honest. And we've seen a lot of good ones, and I like Guardians and all that stuff. But in terms of like good storytelling and stuff like that, I think this carries a lot of weight, much like The Dark Knight does. Rewatchability, maybe not as much as a movie like an Iron Man or Guardians.
We'll have to
but that's
see.
just because it's way too violent and heavy. But
yeah. Like with every movie I see, I hate saying this over and over again, but I want to see it again. I want to soak it in a little bit more. I have to have time to marinate, but 95% does seem high to me. I mean, I have a few problems with not how they do storytelling with the characters, because for me, as a Wolverine fan, as a Hugh Jackman fan, this movie's a 10 out of 10 every time, because it's like, what an incredible, way to send off that character. But looking at it objectively as a movie against other movies, like against movies like La La Land or Manchester by the Sea, or like films, you know what I'm saying? Like not comic book movies, because I hate it when people are like, it's a comic book movie, you have to look at it differently. It's like, no, it's a movie, it's in the theaters, you have to kind of put it up against these giants that are winning awards, and it's like, and that are like lauded for their, their storytelling and their writing and their characters, and it's like, it does stumble in places where The Dark Knight, like you said, I do think it's probably one of the best I have to think about that, because Guardians I still think as a better movie than this overall, just in terms of like the writing and the characters and the interactions between the different people and the fleshed out universe and everything like that. And like,
that's how this is, though.
The thing though is that we know everything about X-Men leading up to this, because we've seen all these movies.
That's true.
Someone coming into this as a one-off, and then someone going into Guardians as a one-off, and like looking at them side by side, how much more are they going to get out of Guardians than Logan? Like, not knowing who Hugh Jackman is, or like any of the Wolverine like characters, like looking at it objectively as a single spin-off story, it's like The Dark Knight, even like that does a great job of setting up Batman and the Joker and Commissioner Gordon and like all these people without you having to see Batman Begins or like any other Batman movie.
And you missed Katie Holmes completely, so it works.
Yeah, and it works in your favor. But for Logan, it's like the weight of that movie is because we care about Hugh Jackman and we care about Professor Xavier, and you won't get that from just this movie. You know what I mean? So it's that makes me think that, it works it's a 10 out of 10 for a legacy, but as a film, it stumbles a little bit. But even though, I would still give it like an 80, 85, like maybe even a 90. Maybe a 9, like an 8.5 or a 9 sounds good to me.
It's good.
But I want to see it again.
We were talking about potential awards for this movie. Do you think it's, now that you've seen it, do you think that that's just like that's not going to happen? Genre films have a big problem with getting award buzz, obviously, and I'm not necessarily only confining this to the Academy Awards.
I think it would be a statement if Hugh Jackman was nominated as.
See, I was going for Patrick Stewart.
As best supporting.
Supporting.
I
mean, they both crush it. I could see both of them, but that's in my world. I really think they need like a genre film Oscars as well. You know what I mean? Like a separate one where like things like Star Wars and comic book movies and all these other things that people actually pay money to go see can get a little bit of love.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but separating things like that immediately degrades the quality. Like, it just says, like, well, we can't win in this, so we're going to win in our own thing.
Sometimes it's just so pompous. And, like,
well,
La La Land's a great
are.
movie, but, like, are you going to see the other 8 films that were nominated for Best Picture? No.
I'd like to, eventually.
I mean, I'd like to see some of them, but are you going to sit through Lion and stuff like that?
Yeah, no. But it's just, that's
But
not
people are going to go see Logan. And Logan's got just as good of acting as some of these other movies.
Well,
and yes, their script is about people who have mutated special abilities and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about this when we get to Oscars, but I think the Oscars are in need of a little bit of a change, and maybe that's the change. I don't know what it is and what could fix it.
Maybe just add like a new award, like best genre film or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where it's like where you got things like Logan and The Last Jedi and Spider-Man: Homecoming,
War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like things that are like that. Or you could even add like, how the Golden Globes separates it as like drama and then it's comedy and musical. Do something like that. Add like science fiction or something on there. Yeah. And then that encompasses a lot of those movies,
Yeah, I mean, the Oscars are... there's a word I could use to describe the Oscars,
pompous.
Especially the voting. I wouldn't use pompous. I would use traditional.
Yeah.
Because they use the same categories that they've been using for 50 years, or whatever, since they started doing it. So it's just a traditional thing. But we'll get to it in a second. We're going to take a quick coffee break.
Okay.
When we come back, Oscar Talk. Welcome back to Oscar Talk. John, we watched the Oscars.
Yeah, I watched the whole shebang.
Yep. Before we dive into the winners, let's quickly summarize. How'd you feel about Jimmy Kimmel? How'd you feel about the bits, the jokes, and the ha-has?
I thought Kimmel was really good, actually. And him playing into that rivalry with Matt Damon and being
that was the best,
and being able to bring that in and like everybody know about it is pretty cool.
That was the best joke of the night, was when they did "We Bought a Zoo" and then they brought him on stage and kept trying to play him off. I was
Ben Affleck so and guest,
yeah. It's just funny how Matt Damon, and we'll see in a little bit. Matt Damon's losing quite a bit of money.
But not with Manchester by the Sea.
That's true.
Manchester by the Sea.
He attached himself to a good one there. Or a winner.
He produced that one, right?
How much? Executive producer is his title, I believe.
So he must have cut the deal with Amazon then.
I guess. It's like if people executive produce.
You can watch that on Amazon now.
Can you?
Yeah, because since Amazon Studios produced it, they're like, watch it for $5.99, and I'm thinking about it because I like the. I watched the trailer for it. It looks really good.
So a friend of mine, we were discussing. Shout out to Andy Holzman out there. We were discussing the Oscars the other night, and he was talking about how he thought that Casey Affleck is basically just playing Casey Affleck, which is interesting because that's exactly what we said, or that's what you said, right, about Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling in La La Land, is that they're basically playing themselves.
I said Gosling is
playing himself?
Yeah, okay. I think Emma Stone has a well-deserved Best Actress award.
Gosling,
and it's not that I don't like Gosling in La La Land. I think he's fantastic, and I love the guys, and he was great in The Nice Guys and stuff too. It's just he just kind of plays himself a lot, kind of like Leo does. Like Leo tries to do biopics, but he's kind of still playing himself.
Revenant probably not playing himself.
Well, that's the one he won it for. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like if you watch, like
Wolf of Wall Street, I don't know. He's not.
If you watch The Departed versus like Inception, it kind of can trip into the same stuff. Like he's just like angry all the time, you know, and he's just like, I'm so good at acting dramatically. Listen to me, you know. I don't know.
Well, Best Picture, Moonlight won, and we'll discuss that one in a minute. Actor in a leading role, Casey Affleck. Actress in a leading role, Emma Stone.
Did you like... Side note, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I'm going to let you finish in a minute, Kanye. Casey Affleck's acceptance speech.
Yeah,
was he hammered?
I think that's Casey Affleck. I think that's
just
him.
Awkward.
I think he's just kind of like always depressed.
He's just like
he's definitely an Affleck.
Well, that's for sure. He was like I would like to because like he mentioned one of the other nominees, but he didn't thank all of them. You know, I just felt like it was kind of weird. He's just like, I learned how to act from Denzel Washington, so thank you. And it pans over to Denzel, and Denzel's just like, get the hell out of here. Like,
he's like, all right, whatever.
He's like, I should have won that. Fences are amazing. And
Denzel just looks like he could kill a dude. Denzel is a scary looking dude. I don't know, presidential ticket. If that's the Denzel we're talking about, he's a scary looking man.
Yeah, he's not gonna mess around. He's amazing. If you watch on Kimmel's page, and we'll dive into this later. Actually, never mind. Sorry.
Okay,
we'll come back to it. But anyway, I thought Casey Affleck's speech was pretty poor for somebody who won Best Actor. But he might have been emotionally compromised. I did like the part where he's just like, he didn't know what to say. He's just like, damn it. And he's like, I thought that was cool. But
yeah, it always kind of like the whole speech. It kind of looked like he was just about to cry, which I couldn't tell was
he's still acting.
Yeah, he was still acting. Actor in a supporting role, Marshala Ali won for Moonlight. Actress in a supporting role, Viola Davis won for Fences.
To Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
I want to make someone the worst of the worst.
Animated feature film, Zootopia won.
Yo, give me some. Dude, I called that ish.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, that made me the most happy. Like, you were all like, Emma Stone. And I was just like, La La Land. It's great, but like Zootopia.
Yes. Cinematography for La La Land. Production design,
right?
Costume design was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Makeup and hairstyling, Suicide Squad.
The DCEU has won an Oscar before the MCU. How about that? How about that?
You know, it's something. Damien Chazelle won directing again for La La Land. He won last year for, or he won
2 years ago.
2 years ago for Whiplash. So. Dude's killing it. Also, music, basically everything was La La Land. All right, excellent editing aside there, Zach. Thanks, Zach. Thanks for the compliment. We're about to talk about the Oscar screw up. So if you didn't catch it, this is basically what happened. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway were on stage. They were announcing Best Picture. There was some obvious kind of like weirdness going on especially with Beatty. And he hands the envelope to Faye Dunaway, and she reads La La Land. And so the La La Land's cast. You can go see the video. It's cringeworthy. Oh, my God.
Watch it on Kimmel, on his page, because he explains what's going on the whole time. And he shows the clips and stuff like that. Okay. And he'll pause it, and he'll be like, so this is what happened at this moment. And then he's like, this is like... It's really funny, because he's like, I'm sitting there behind Matt Damon, because the plan was to make fun of Matt Damon losing. He's like, but then this happened, and he's like, man, the host of the show needs to get up there and do something. And he's like, and for a second, I forgot that I was the host of the show. And he's like, oh man. And so he gets up out of his seat and goes up there and stuff like that. And then he says that he doesn't know what to do, and the scramble's going on, and Denzel's just yelling at him and just going, Barry, and he's pointing to Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, because he's like, you got to get somebody to give a speech right now, because like this is just like a cluster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was nuts.
He's like, so thank God Denzel keeps his composure, but I think we all knew that.
I appreciated the fact that the crew for La La Land was so like, get up here, like, come on, like, you guys won, this is not a joke.
Yeah, the
like,
producer.
Come on. Yeah. And it was hard to watch, but at the same time, it was like they handled it well, and everything kind of like they skirted around it enough to kind of make it acceptable, although obviously it was the hottest moment of the night.
Did you hear about the conspiracy theory?
So we talked about the conspiracy theory, but I want to talk about the accountants. Did you hear about the PwC accountants?
Yeah.
Okay. So the two PwC accountants, this is from the New York Times. It was on March 1st. And it says the two PwC accountants involved in the envelope mix-up that saw the producers from La La Land accepting the Best Picture award before everyone realized it belonged to Moonlight, will not be working at the Oscars again, according to a spokeswoman at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. What? One of the accountants, Brian Cullinan, a partner at PwC, had handed Warren Beatty the incorrect envelope moments before the actor went on stage with Faye Dunaway to present the Best Picture Arthur. Martha L. Ruiz, the other PwC accountant who worked the awards with Mr. Cullinan, will also not be returning, the Academy said. He had mistakenly given Mr. Beatty a duplicate envelope for Best Actress, which had just gone to Emma Stone for La La Land. After Mr. Beatty read that envelope's contents, he showed it in confusion to Miss Dunaway, who saw the words La La Land and triumphantly announced it the winner. So the conspiracy, when this was all happening, you were like, "This is staged. This is staged. Fake news."
The conspiracy that I heard from it's a Screen Junkies video. It's really funny, but
I'll have to check it out.
There's a conspiracy that I don't know if they made it up or if it's buzzing around the internet, but the conspiracy is that Leonardo DiCaprio orchestrated the whole thing as a big FU to the Academy for all the times that he was nominated and never won. No, but just listen to how funny it is. So when you're watching Emma Stone give her speech for winning Best Actress, Leo's holding the Best Actress envelope, and so everyone thinks that he walked off stage with her, and then we cut to commercial before they come back, and they think that he was orchestrating the whole thing, which I think was really funny. But
I mean, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, but it's definitely.
I got this guy's business card last night.
Oh yeah, the Uber driver.
Mm-hmm. Gonzalo G. Roya. He's a sales advisor at Toyota West.
Network. Got a network. So, flub aside, I did want to bring up the Hollywood Reporter article from the 27th that said Oscars dropped to 32.9 million viewers. Telecast takes a bigger hit with younger set. Long and eventful 89th Academy Awards continue the ABC telecast recent downward trending. Wow, this page is just all kinds of screwed up because I have ad blocker. Wow, this is weird. Look at this thing. It's just like having a seizure.
Charles. I like how he's like, I'm James. This is my daughter. And he's like, this is my friend Chuck.
Yeah. After initial indicators had Sunday's lengthy show off from 2016, time zone adjusted tallies gave this year's Oscars an average 32.9 million viewers. That marks a 4% drop in viewership from the year prior. Last year's outing saw its overnight score at 23.4, ultimately to translate to a 34.4. The key demographic of 18 to 49. This year's show averaged a 9.1 rating, off a more dramatic 14% from the 2016 telecast. So this is a lot of numbers and a lot of things just to say that the Oscars are becoming less and less popular every year. And you were saying, which is interesting, and I've had this discussion with a few other people, it's like, so what if it was staged? It probably wasn't. It's honestly probably just a mix-up. They fired the people that are responsible for it, quote-unquote, and the one photo that was really funny is of the PwC stagehand, the guy, taking a photo, tweeting a photo backstage before the envelope mix-up happened. It's someone was asleep at the button, you know what I'm saying? So it's it wasn't staged, but what if?
What if it's Inception? Leo went into somebody's mind and inceptioned them into mixing up the envelopes.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about the Oscars viewership being down? Do you
It's just boring sometimes, and I think that it kind of depends on your host making it funny. I think Kimmel did a good job of making this one entertaining to watch.
I like Kimmel's humor.
With all the skits and stuff like that, I thought that was really funny. And then if you think about it, that story gets things on the map, But, I mean, it makes sense that it declines. It's you watch people in tuxedos thank other people and get a golden man.
Yeah.
And they're all films you haven't seen. That's what we were talking about earlier, It's a lot of people's favorite movies of the year aren't going to be the ones that are nominated for Best Picture. Yours is aside, but that's justified because La La Land's an enjoyable film to watch. I think the last time that I really, invested myself in a film that was going into the Oscars for, a picture nomination would probably be, Inception.
Inception definitely didn't go for Best Picture.
Yeah, it was nominated.
It was?
Yeah.
No way.
Check it.
What won that year?
Let's see, it was 2010, so it was, what did win that year?
Are you serious? That was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this at all.
I was like, I love Inception so much. Like, I hope it wins. But yeah, it was nominated. I can't remember what won that year. I think it was 2010, so it might have been like, I don't know. It was up against like True Grit and all those movies.
Keep Bam.
I can't remember more things from that year.
Yeah, it was. It was 2010.
Yep.
83rd Academy Awards. It was up against the King's Speech one.
Oh.
That's a great movie though. Have you seen that? Oh, that's a great movie. Jeffrey Rush, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I totally... There were a lot of movies nominated that year. Toy Story 3 was nominated. Social Network was nominated. I'd probably vote for Social Network over both those movies, honestly. 127 Hours, Black Swan was that year. That was a good year, dude.
It was a great year.
It was a very good year. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what my solution would be to make the Oscars more popular. What I want to stop seeing them do. Ellen made the selfie thing. Remember when Ellen did the selfie thing? Whatever she did. What was it? Was it the Oscars? Did she go to the Oscars? That was hilarious and funny, and it was fresh. But now every host of the Oscars wants to involve the crowd in making this big grand joke, and it's not working anymore. Stop doing it. Yeah. Like Kimmel dropping stuff from the ceiling, not funny.
Lemonheads,
not funny.
Delicious though.
So I don't know, but we'll see what happens at the Oscars. Nevertheless, that mix-up was quite cringy, and I was viscerally upset because it's like I wanted La La Land to win so bad because I just love that movie so much from the bottom of my soul.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It's okay.
We'll see. I'll see Moonlight sometime in the next few weeks, and I'll give my opinions.
I would rather watch Manchester by the Sea than Moonlight.
I mean, I want to watch the best... I mean, someone thinks it's Best Picture nominated. The Academy overwhelmingly voted, so...
Okay.
It's probably got some merit.
Probably.
From The Hollywood Reporter, Matt Damon's The Great Wall to lose $75 million. Future U.S.-China productions in doubt. The collapse of the Great Wall at the domestic... puns... At the domestic box office, it has made $34.8 million in North America, has iced any notion of a significant future for U.S.-China co-productions. The movie will likely end up with losses of more than $75 million, sources say, and Universal Pictures will be on the hook for at least $10 million. The studio funded 25% of the film's $150 million budget, the rest coming in equal parts from Legendary, China Film Group, and LaVision Pictures. So this is a big deal because... this movie was a co-production between the overseas markets and our markets. So it was them saying, like, let's work together to make a movie that can make a ton of money and help our studios grow. And I think people saw straight through that.
Yeah, well, you should have made a better premise.
I don't know who wanted this movie.
Matt Damon.
Other than the studios. So, let's coast through this. Pirates Trailer 3.
Thumbs up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A little bit too revealing.
Sure, a lot.
I'm going to stop watching at this point.
Whatever.
Unless, yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
I will say,
looks good.
It does look like a really good Pirates movie, and also in this trailer they announced that it's the last one.
Yeah, the final adventure or whatever,
which is cool.
Interesting. Lots of lasts. A lot of films.
Final things. Yeah. Last Jedi. Last Pirates. Logan. Yeah. I will say the one part that I like about the trailer a lot, it was at the very end of the trailer when that girl's like taking her dress off to dive in. And he's like, I saw her ankles. He's like, you would have seen a lot more if you...
That was kind of like... It felt like a very Han Solo-y kind of line.
I know, it's so good. It was awesome. I miss Jack Sparrow.
Tell you what I'm not enjoying, though, is the store brand Will and Elizabeth Swann characters. Like
those two?
Yeah, I don't care at all.
Well,
and I'm worried that the movie's going to focus around them too much.
Well, at least Will's in this movie. You know, the last one they tried to do like doppelganger versions of themselves when one was a mermaid, and it's like no one cares. So.
What are you thinking about the fact that the kid could be Will's son?
I think that's totally it.
You think that's what it is?
He doesn't have a last name on the thing. That's the same reason why you do Ray without a last name. You know, Everybody's got a last name.
It's just funny how they're just totally forgetting that Jack Sparrow would be like 60 in this chronology, right? Because
that kid's probably 20, right?
He would have to, because
easily
10 years after.
He's 10 years at the end of the
10
last,
years more, so
at
we
the
would
end
have
of
to be
At
20
World's
or
End
21.
when Will comes back to see him.
It totally doesn't work.
So it's got to be at least 20 years after At World's End.
Yeah. And he can't build a movie where it's like, Jack Sparrow battles arthritis.
He's got the same problems as Logan. Yeah. He can't read. He's wearing glasses the whole time, which I thought was another.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm excited to see it. Comes out this summer, right?
Yeah, in May. Yeah. Well, we're going to be in Europe, though, when it comes out, so we won't be able to see it till we get back.
Yeah, we can still...
Unless we want to see it in a foreign language.
I wouldn't mind... Or we'll see it in the English theater.
Yeah, that's true.
From TheVerge.com, YouTube launches its own streaming TV service. So Connor and I were talking about this last night. I don't have to draw too much into this, but it's interesting for people to know that YouTube is getting into the TV, like the personal TV market. Like PlayStation has PlayStation View, DirecTV has their like little thing where you can just pay for the app. But for $35 a month, subscribers get all 4 major networks: ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC, and 35 cable channels, which include... Verge doesn't have a list. Thanks a lot, Verge. But it's got, stuff. Right on. It's just interesting because one of the things that I don't like about PlayStation View is that it's not necessarily available on everything, and it's not like I always have my PlayStation with me, and I've got my controller, and that's probably the best format for it, but it's like, I've always got a laptop with YouTube.
Yeah.
And YouTube is a really reliable platform. Like, they have good streaming quality, good... I don't know. We use all of our videos through YouTube, and, so maybe we could get a Radiovania TV channel.
Through YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. So, I don't know. This might be something that I might be interested in. We'll see. I would also not discount YouTube is very student-oriented. They like people getting invested at young ages and, helping out with, stuff like that. So maybe they could offer a student discount, which would be really smart for students living in dorms to get stuff like that.
All right.
Leaks for real. Middle-earth Shadow of War coming in August. Did you play Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor?
Played a little bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, I played about 6 hours of it. Realized it's not my cup of tea. Hopefully, this one takes a different kind of approach. We'll see.
Michael and
Michael
John
loved it.
Yeah, and John Larson liked it a lot too. They're like, it's better than the Batman games because you can cut people's heads off.
Wrong.
And I was just like, no,
wrong.
No, the Batman games are way better.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's Batman. I don't care about this.
And the story.
I don't care about this. I love Middle Earth more than I love Batman and DC. But oh man, I don't care about this character at all.
Yeah.
It would have almost been cooler if it just gave me an Aragorn story.
A couple days away. Hopefully, we get an Arkham Insurgency announcement.
We'll see if the rumors were true.
It's all true. The Jedi, the Force.
From Polygon.com, Microsoft announces Xbox Games Pass, Netflix-style gaming for the Xbox One. So this is interesting. It's important to us that Xbox Game Pass provides an enjoyable and seamless experience, a Microsoft spokesperson told Polygon. Right now, we're focused on launching Xbox Games Pass on Xbox One and look forward to bringing the service to the broader Xbox community.
Xbox One and Windows 10 exclusive.
So basically, you pay... So right now, I pay $9.99 a month for PlayStation Plus, and I get roughly 4 to 5 free games a month.
You do the monthly thing? You don't just pay in bulk for the year?
It depends on the month.
Really?
Sometimes I don't really have sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want to put $60 into this right now.
It's so much cheaper, though.
I know, but it's like financing a credit card. It's like it doesn't feel cheaper when I'm doing it, but
See, I think I'm gonna go buy a year pass because I have enough money for it now, and I'll get longevity out of it. So.
Yeah.
Get that.
You also check for people that are interested in PS4, PS Plus especially. I implore you, go to reddit.com subreddit PS4 deals and just refresh that maybe once or twice a day. Check in on it every now and then. They will put up year PS Plus subscriptions at $40, $30. Those things go on sale all the time. You're a sucker if you pay full price for a year membership because they go on sale all the time. And sometimes they even come with extra bonuses where it's buy a year of PS Plus and get a free DualShock 4. And I'm just like, huh, cool. Anyways, so for $9.99 a month, Microsoft is going to do this thing called Xbox Games Pass, which includes over 100 games, including Halo 5, Guardians, Payday 2, NBA 2K16, Soul Calibur 2. Those are just the staples that they were giving, which are interesting. Basically, You get full fidelity gameplay without having to worry about streaming, bandwidth, or connectivity issues. In addition, all Xbox One games in the catalog and related add-ons will be available to purchase at a discount for the Xbox Game Pass members, so you can make the games you love part of your permanent library to play whenever you want. Every month, new games will cycle into the subscription, with some cycling out, giving you a constantly updating library of games. Any game you buy through the service will be sold to you at a 20% discount. So this is interesting because PlayStation has PlayStation Now, which is their streaming service, which allows you to play a bunch of PS3 games, but not all the PS3 games are there. And PlayStation 4 games are certainly not there for you to play. PlayStation Plus does a great job at giving me discounts. Like, I buy so much crap whenever they do flash sales or whatever, but I actually think this is a really smart move. Obviously Microsoft has a kind of like keep dancing around it because they're losing so badly, and like they're not like. The Xbox One's not selling terribly, but they're about to launch the Scorpio in the fall. They're about to launch the next Xbox or whatever they're doing. We're going to hear about that at E3 this year. So I think this is just a goodwill move, and it's going to be interesting to see if people jump onto the value, especially considering the fact that, there's not that many Xbox exclusive games coming out this year. Sony this year has had Gravity Rush 2, Neo, Horizon Zero Dawn. They're about to get, if the rumors are true, God of War maybe in the fall. We'll see what's going on with that. I doubt it. And Uncharted 4, Dad of War, yeah. So, I don't know. Would you pay for something like this if this was available on PlayStation?
Possibly.
I think it's a good way for people, because like you play the games that you love. Like, you'll buy every Batman game that comes out, a new Batman game or a new Last of Us game, a new Uncharted game, right? But it's like, for the games that you might not super love, like I don't know, what's a pick? What's
Grand Theft Auto? Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto. Like, you're like, well, I screw around with it every now and then, but yeah, I'll pay the $9.99 a month to play Grand Theft Auto. Oh, and look, they have Inside. Oh, look, they have Overwatch. I can play a few matches. Oh, look, they have blah 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 blah. So yeah. I actually think this is a smart move to get people in. I think Sony needs to get away from PlayStation Now. Nobody wants to pay $15 a month to stream PlayStation 3 games. We're moved on.
Yep.
We've moved on from the PlayStation 3. Get it out of there.
Bye-bye.
And I was going to end with the PS4 games, the PlayStation Plus games from March. Basically, there's not much you need to know. Tearaway Unfolded's coming, which I've heard is fantastic. I can't wait to play it, from the guys that made Little Big Planet. Disc Jam, which looks like a lot of fun, co-op or online versus multiplayer. It's basically just like big hulking dudes throwing a disc, you catch it. Looks like it could be a fun drinking game. Yeah. And that's all the news I've got.
Cool. Let's wrap up the show with a really quick comic shop talk.
Okay.
So this past week, I went and got a couple books, just a couple small ones. I got Batman 18 and Superman 18. So Batman's still fighting with Bane. It's taking forever, but the art's beautiful. So that's about all I can say about that book. Superman, though, is starting this new crossover event with between Superman and Action Comics. It's a 4-part thing called Superman Reborn, and that dude, Mr. Oz, I was telling you about, that everybody think is Ozymandias, is playing a large part in it at the beginning of the book. And this is spoilers for the Superman 18.
Spoilers.
It opens up with him walking around his lair, and he's got all the people that he's kidnapped and put in cages and stuff like that. And they're like, one of us got out, and he goes outside, and there's this huge citadel prison, and the roof's blown off, and he goes inside, and there's like scratchings all on the wall with like the Superman symbol, and like it'll say like Superman will save me, Superman will save us, and he's get like drawing like pictures of Lois and Clark and their son and stuff. It's interesting, but comics are only 20 pages each, so they don't really dive into a whole lot, so it's going to take a long time before we figure out who was in that prison that busted out. I don't know. So it's kind of cool because they're, like I said, they're slowly working towards the Watchmen thing, which is nice. However, one of the news topics that surfaced surrounding comic shop talk for this week was for that Button crossover that I was telling you about with the Flash and Batman. They've revealed that Reverse Flash is going to make his Rebirth debut in it, as well as Earth 2 Flash Jay Garrick, which is the one with the kettle and like the Hermes looking helmet, as well as Flashpoint Batman. So potentially at some point during this 4-part crossover, they'll head into Flashpoint verse, which would be cool if Bruce could meet his father and they're both dressed up in a Batman suit. That'd be pretty rad.
Cool.
But otherwise, that's about it. It's a pretty low-key week. So the beginning of a Superman story, and then the dragging on of a Batman story. That's all I read, besides the novels I was talking about earlier.
So what would be your pick of the week if you told someone to pick up a comic this week?
Oh, man. Just a single issue?
Yeah, if somebody was going to go out and buy a couple, like, what was the run you would think is what's the winner this week?
I do think if you go back and you get Batman 16, 17, and then 18 from this past week, it's a solid run. Like I said, David Finch's art's really great.
Cool.
And they're building towards this really cool climactic showdown between Batman and Bane, which is always fun because they don't usually have Bane a whole lot in much stuff. And when they do, it usually ends up in someone getting their back broken or something. But, I mean, 18 was cool because, like, nothing happened. Nothing progressed the story, like, hardly at all. But for, like, the first 10 to 12 pages of it, it's literally, I'll show it to you, it's side by side of Batman's parents getting murdered and Bane's mom getting murdered in prison, and they're going through the same stages in life but in different things. Like, obviously Bruce Wayne's growing up with Alfred in the Wayne thing, and Bane's growing up in the pit in prison, and they're slowly building up their bodies and they're getting stronger and stuff like that. And then they start hearing rumors about, like, you can't take on the Bat, he can't be brought down, you can't take on Bane, he can't be brought down. And then they're just like, it's side by side of, like, it's pretty cool. So it's like building up like this rivalry between Batman and Bane as, like, equals, which is interesting because Bane's usually a pretty minor villain. So yeah, it's pretty neat. But yeah, so that's what I would say to check those out, because I like Superman and this reborn thing is going to be important. But I'm still not getting behind the whole thing that he has a kid and that it's, like, about his son and stuff like that. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah, that was a big thing when Rebirth happened.
Yeah, it's still his son. His son is Marty McFly in it right now. He's erased from existence, and they're trying to figure out why. So that's what Reborn's about. Spoilers.
All right, well, I think we might not have enough time to do a Dat Cave.
Nah.
You want to close the show out for me, buddy?
I gotta go to work. Well, anyway, so thank you for listening to the show, guys. This has been episode 37. We talked about some Oscars, we talked about some Logan, talked about some Batman like usual, we talked about some video games.
Yeah, it's hard for us to go a show without Batman. I looked at all the thumbnails on YouTube.
He's in everything.
Like, he's in almost every thumbnail.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Star Wars this week, though, so that's interesting.
Oh, that's right, we did. Well, we just talked about it now.
Dang. But anyway, if you guys like the show, you can head to radiovania.com and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can check us out on iTunes, check us out on Spreaker. Go hit subscribe, give us some follows. Every little bit helps. We're over 1,000 listens. We're trying to keep building more and more and more. Check out some of our cool videos on YouTube, like the few of us.
No copyright infringement here.
Me pretending to be Jim Gordon. There's a lot of good stuff up there. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at that John Parker. He's at Zach Rotello. You can also follow the show on Twitter, Radiovania, and then you can email us at radiovaniashow@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
So that's all, folks.
All right.
That's all, folks.
See you sometime soon.
Bye.